Size actually does matter, and I'm lazy and I'm always making objects the wrong sizes. But in this video, I'm going to go over some essential reasons why having your objects at the correct size makes a huge amount of difference. And at the end of the video, I'll show you how you can set up Blender really quickly so you don't keep making the same size mistakes. So I'm in Blender 5, it's a new startup file, and I've got my screencast keys down here so you can see what I'm pressing. And what I'm often a bit guilty of is taking the default cube and just building my objects to any random size. So let's start with a table, for example. So I'll scale in the Z, zoom in a bit, bring it down a bit more, bring it up in the Z, G then Z, Shift D to duplicate and bring that down, scale Shift Z, so it doesn't scale in the Z this time, it just scales inwards like this, and then scale in the Z to make a table leg. I'll go to side view, move that into position, roughly around there, scale it down a little bit, and that's not too bad. Let's just move that up slightly. Duplicate this, Shift D to duplicate in the Y, bring that across, select both these two, go to front view this time with one on my numpad, G then X, move them across, Shift D, then X to create my wonderful table. And that's all good. I should be very proud. However, what I notice lots of students doing is then thinking, I want something on the table. So Shift right click to move my 3D cursor, Shift A to add, mesh, and then we'll use a UV sphere, and that's going to be an apple. So I'll scale it down to apple size, G then Z, move that up. Okay, so I've got an apple on a table. But you can probably tell there's a little bit off here. How big is that apple? It looks a bit too big in this case. But how do I know? Well, what we should be using is the actual grid for the sizes. And it's really common to see this mistake with lots of students. They have lots of objects in their scenes and they just don't marry up to each other in a real life way. Like in this case, the apple looks just a bit too big. And then you might have a wine glass that's too small, and it's a really common beginner mistake. So what do we do about this? Well, we can obviously use the grid in Blender. So if I go to front view, we know that each of these tiny units is 10 centimeters, and you can roughly make out there's a meter bigger grid size just there. And this table is actually 1.5 meters tall, and my apple is actually roughly about 30 centimeters in diameter. So it's all way too big. Now to make this all a lot easier, it's a really good idea to start with a person in your scene. So instead of the default cube, have a person there instead. So what I'm going to do is import a character. So to bring in my character, I'll go File, Append, and I'll make this file available to you for free. Follow the link in the description to my Gumroad. You can also learn how to make the character as well. I'll put a link to that YouTube tutorial. So double click on the file, go into collections and choose the low poly man and append. Now, if we go to material preview mode, you'll notice that he's also textured and he's the right size, so roughly 6 foot. And now we can immediately see that the table and the apple is the wrong size. So I'll just grab those and resize them slightly. So jump to front view, move that down to there, and that should be about right, just above knee length. Notice how you always get bruises in your thighs when you bash against the table. And if I look at the actual size, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these units. So 70 centimeters high. That might be a little bit low actually. So I'll just bring it up a little bit, maybe to around there. I think it's between 75 centimeters and 80 centimeters for a table. But it was much easier to get close to that because we had our reference character in there. And now I can see that my apple is way too big, thinking about the size of this character's hands. So I can scale that down maybe to somewhere like there. And that's a nice big apple anyway. Let's bring it down a little bit more. And if you want to be really precise, then we go into the grid and think, right, how many centimeters? 10 centimeters for an apple. That's a big apple. So let's bring it down a little bit more, probably around about here. And there we've got our apple. But notice it was much easier with my reference object. And then I used the grid to help me. And we've now got a wonderful scene with a happy person that's got their apple. So that's the obvious reason as to why size is important. But there are other reasons also. If I select the top of the table and think, oh, that's got some nasty sharp corners, someone could do themselves an injury. So what I'll do is I'll add a bevel modifier. So across the modifiers, add modifier, under generate, we've got bevel. I'm just going to go back to solid shading so you can actually see the bevel. Now you can see instantly that something's gone a little bit wrong. The beveling of the height seems very different to the beveling on the sides. Again, this is another problem that beginners come up against, and it's because of the way I scaled it. Remember, I started with the default cube and scaled it a lot in the Z and not so much in the Y and X, and that's been taken into account when adding the bevel. So if I press N on my keyboard and go to item, incidentally, you can see the dimensions of my tabletop here. So that's also very useful for getting precise dimensions. But you can see here, my scale is non-uniform, and the bevel is kind of taking that into account. So it's doing the bevel first and then scaling. hence why we get an unusual looking bevel. But we can reset this or apply our scale by in object mode pressing Ctrl A. You can also go up to the object menu up here as well under apply, and you get the same menu, and there's scale just there. So now when I do that, you can see we get a more even bevel. However, it's far too big. So the amount here is all important again. So 0.1 meters, so 10 centimeters, that's far too big. Let's bring that down to something like 1 centimeter maximum, and maybe put the segments up, and that looks a bit more like a tabletop. To be fair, 1 centimeter is quite a big bevel, so we could go lower. It depends on the design of your table. So the size counts once again for the bevel modifier. If I had had this big table and tried to set the amount, it would be much harder, and I'd just be doing it by eye on the side here. Instead, it's much better if we can actually type in our bevel amount. So let's say 2 millimeters, and there's our tiny bevel, but that makes a bit more sense. So size also matters when you're thinking about your modifiers, and any modifier that has this amount option here, in order to be accurate, our object has to be accurate. And remember to apply the scale. Okay, so the other reason that size is all important, and lots of people don't think too much about this, is if I zoom out, we've got the light up here. Now, I'm just going to press Shift A to add mesh and then cube, and just bring that across to the side slightly. So this is our default cube, and often we create objects straight from this without thinking about the scale. But if I click on my light now and go to the light properties, let's actually go now to the render viewport shading. We can see the power just here. And if I hover over, you can see that power is in watts. Now, 1000 watt light is pretty bright. If I actually bring this into position, let's say this was a room, and bring it into position here, you can see that's the 1000 watt light, and it's blowing everything out and blinding this poor chap here. So let's think about what a light bulb might be in a room. I would say 100 watts. We tend to actually measure in lumens, to be honest, because wattage doesn't mean as much as it used to before LEDs, but you can see a 100 watt bulb there. Usually on LED bulbs, they say the equivalent, and they're usually around 100 watts for a main light in a average size room. And you can see that there, it's doing very well and lighting up our scene correctly. However, for our default cube just here, it's not lighting it up much because this is a really big cube. The further I move my light away, so this is probably room size here, a little bit over 2 meters, the default cube being 2 meters, of course. If I start to move this away, let's try that again, G then Y this time, move that away. You can see the character is becoming dimmer because the distance from the light source does make a difference. It's called the inverse square law, and you can look that up if you want, but put simply, the further away, the dimmer it gets, obviously. So if we want to replicate real world scenarios, we need to think about the distance our character is from the light source, and therefore we need the correct distances for these lights to impact our scene as we expect. The last thing to point out is notice the radius here. So if we take a look at our apple just here, and I'll try and keep the light in shot, we can see a shadow just there. In fact, let's bring the light in a little bit closer. Again, it's getting a bit brighter now, isn't it? Because we're close to the light. But here's our shadow. The radius is the softness of our shadow. And other things like the spotlight and the area light to some degree have the same sort of radius. The area light, you actually change the size of the light here. But in the case of the point light and the spotlight, we have this radius option. Notice what happens when I bring the radius up. Look at the shadow just there. I bring it down and up. You can see it makes it harder and softer. And this you have to think about in terms of the actual size of your light. If you have a light bulb, it's really hard light coming from that. And in order to make soft light for things like photography, they actually use a diffuser in front. So it kind of changes the size of the light source and therefore makes it softer. So the size of the radius, once again, is all important for the effectiveness of your lighting. And you can see the shadows going softer there, and I can make them really hard by bringing down the radius. So there we have it. That is why size matters when it comes to lots of different aspects to Blender and your scenes, and making your scenes look realistic. As my last tip, if I delete these objects and keep just the person there, so I've got the person and the light. If you wanted to make this your default startup file, you can go across to File, Defaults, and Save Startup File. That way, whenever you load Blender, this character will jump in here and you'll be ready to resize your objects in accordance with that character as a reference. It's always a good idea as well to change a few things like in Eevee, turn the ray tracing on and set up your rendering as well for that default startup file. You could even put an HDRI in the background of your scene. So any repetitive task that you do, you can then go to File, Defaults, and save it as a startup file, and then always have it ready. If you ever want to undo that, then load factory settings. So hopefully now you understand why size is all important. If you've got any questions, then do comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.